Hello, Stillwater area high school mountain bike team and supporters. In this video, we're going to discuss wheel removal and replacement. Some good basic knowledge. We're going to look at a linear pull brake, how that would be dealt with to get our wheel out. We're also going to look at hydraulic disc brakes and also a mechanical disc brake, how wheels are taken in and out and the importance thereof. First, to understand how these wheels come in and out, let's get some terminology straight. This is a wheel. The whole unit together we're calling a wheel. The tire is the rubber outside. The rim is this hoop on the inside. We have the hub. The axle is the part with the bearings, and the skewer is this piece in the middle that has a lever. This is called a quick release skewer. Most of us will have quick release skewers operate on what's called a cam system. From open to close, the lever housing moves toward and away from the hub. And if we hold this carefully, you can see the motion there. Open, close. That closed motion forces it against the dropout of the frame, and that literally pulls the skewer tight. There are two basic types of quick release skewers: the open cam and the closed cam. Closed cam has a housing that protects the cam mechanism. It keeps it cleaner. Typically these are more durable. They're also more reliable. The open cam can be a lighter system. It's getting popular. It can get dirt inside in the cam area. That can cause problems we'll see later on. The closed cam and the open cam operate on the same concept. This eccentric is built into the lever. It's not in the middle, so as it swings over, it pushes down, in this case on this washer or on the housing on the closed cam. That's what's going to provide us tension. And that tension is going to literally slightly stretch this shaft in the middle, and that pressure holds our wheel on and holds it secure and safe for our racing. This is called a linear pull caliper brake. It's a rim brake. It brakes on the rim surface. We'll see that the disc brakes break down at a rotor near the hub. To begin with, wheel removal on this brake, we squeeze the arms together and unhook this harness here. The tire will not come out if we don't. So step one, squeeze and unhook the brake system. The arms open up wide. For removal, we pull the lever open fully. The wheel still will not come out. There's a safety redundancy built in. I must go to the opposite side where the nut is and unscrew it. It widens out the skewer and we clear the fork, and now the wheel is successfully out. Wheel installation is basically the reverse process. Let's talk about this cam first. If the cam feels sticky and really dry, a little bit of lubrication is excellent right here on these cam surfaces. That's going to let us get full pressure. We're going to get full stretching of that rod. When it's dirty and dusty in there, that should be cleaned off. Now the flashing. For wheel installation, the skewer must be wider than the dropout. We install it fully up. Then we have to adjust the tension on the opposite side. In our case, the left side here is where we turn to close the skewer up. So I'm turning that down, and then we're going to adjust the tension here. As a rule of thumb, you want the lever halfway through the swing to meet resistance. That is a good amount of resistance. It keeps the wheel safe. Let's look at two bad situations. Here, the resistance begins nearly all the way over. That's far too easy. In a race, that's going to work its way loose and the wheel is going to rattle. So we don't want it too loose. Too tight, if I get it too tight, resistance is beginning before halfway. I can't close that all the way. In this case, the cam is not in a locked and called an over center position. That is dangerous. So we want it fully closed, but again, resistance about halfway, and the wheel fully up and then tight. One more aspect that's important is where we end up with the skewer lever. This is an acceptable position in front of the fork. You can go a little closer to the fork. That's another good position. This is not a good position. I have closed it right up against the fork. It makes it difficult to grab. So during a race, my hands are cold. I'm trying to grab that. There's nothing hardly to grab. Very difficult and awkward. So again, in front, that's a good position. Even straight down would be okay. Going forward is not such a good position. So close to the fork, but not on top of the fork. It is very important also that the wheel be centered in the frame. If we get it off to the side, either left or right side, you go to hook your brakes up, the brakes are not going to work properly, the bike is not going to ride properly. So we must get the wheel in the middle of the fork so we can visually see if it's off. We can correct at the bottom the dropout by pulling the wheel left or right, and then close the skewer. So we want that in the middle. And then the last thing we do again is hook up our brake. Make sure these are fully in the harness. This would be only partially in the harness. Not correct. It has to be fully inside its carrier, just like that. Then double check your brake. This is a disc brake that uses a rotor plate screwed to the hub. This is a mechanical version that squeezes the pads to slow you down. Wheel removal is very similar here. There's a lever to pull open. This one drops out. This particular bike has no extra tabs to prevent it from coming out. So that's a faster change on this one. So it does have the same concept of the skewer. It is not a bad practice on this one to put the lever opposite the rotor. Anytime you're working with a disc brake, these edges can be quite sharp. So be careful of not getting cut here, sharply machined surfaces. So in this case, the lever was moved opposite, just to make it easier to pull and open. Going back in is similar. We have to go up in the dropouts. In this case, we have to go also between these pads, and it's quite narrow, so you have to be careful here. It's better to go slowly and get it in correctly. If you knock a pad out, it's going to slow you down in a race. So we're all the way up and we're closing. It's important that the wheel be put in the same each time. Otherwise, if this rotor is off just a little bit, it's going to rub. And that's how we deal with a rotor. This is another disc brake. This is a different system. This is a hydraulic brake. It's not a mechanical cable pulling it. It's hydraulic fluid that pushes pistons together. Removal installation is the same. The only difference is this is very tight tolerances. So we have to, again, be sure and get the wheel properly centered in the pads, the same, so that there's no rubbing when we're riding.